coach for the homilies over there in the middle, and our transitional deacon that suggested that I go ahead and maybe chant the homily. I don't want everybody running out, so we're not going to do that. So do you ever notice how the people who brag the most often have the least to brag about? And the ones who stay quiet end up teaching us the most? Last month, my homily on Sunday was about humility. And this month, it's again about humility, but from another angle. Today's readings give us a tale of two very different approaches to God. In Paul's letter to Timothy, we hear the words of someone at the end of his journey. I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, and I have kept the faith. That's not bragging. It's a testimony. Paul isn't patting himself on the back. He's pointing to God's strength that carried him through. Now, I'll tell you a little story if it's okay. Whenever I hear Paul speak about finishing the race, I can't help but thinking about the MS 150 bicycle ride from, it's supposed to be 150 miles, but it's really 183 from Houston to Austin. Going all through the hills to get up there and all that stuff. Well, I'll admit, the thought of pedaling, which ends up 183 miles instead of 150, filled me with a healthy dose of trepidation, especially when I was doing it. It was the first time I'd ever done it. It sounded impossible, especially when I was the last-minute fill-in for that lady over there about 4 rows back who hurt herself in training and needed somebody to fill in since she had so many pledges for money for the ride. So, the loyal husband that I am, I filled in for her. I didn't have any training, very little I should say, but I had a lot of encouragement from Wendy and a lot of prayers. And I ended up crossing the finish line. And somehow, I don't know what happened, something got into my brain. I did it 4 more times after that. So I did it for 5 times. No more. But anyway, Paul's words remind me of that kind of endurance. The key difference, though, is that Paul doesn't say he made it all on his own grit. He said, the Lord stood by me and gave me strength. Paul knows that grace, not just sheer willpower, got him across the finish line of faith. So in today's gospel, Jesus tells a parable that should make us pause. Now, it kind of starts off sounding like a bad joke, one of those Henny Youngman kind of jokes. 2 men walk into a temple to pray. One is a Pharisee that stands real tall and proud and rattles off his whole spiritual resume, fasting, tithing, and saying that he's not like one of those other people. The other, the tax collector, he can't even lift his eyes up. He beats his chest and whispers, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. Now, if we were keeping score, the Pharisee will win hands down. Why? Well, look at his outward record. He's got discipline. He's consistent. He's a model of religious observance. But what's Jesus do? He flips the scorecard. And it's the tax collector, the one that doesn't have anything to brag about, that goes home justified. Again, why? Because God doesn't want to, or doesn't need our resumes. He wants our hearts. And pride closes the door to grace, but humility opens it up wide. And Paul understood this. His confidence wasn't in his resume, even though he had one heck of a resume. Paul's confidence was in the God who had rescued him from the lion's mouth and would bring him safe into his heavenly kingdom. Now, honestly, when you think about it, aren't we all a little bit of a Pharisee in each of our own selves? Maybe not in the temple or the church, but in traffic, at work, or even at the grocery line. Well, at least I'm not like that guy over there. It feels good to measure ourselves against others, but Jesus shows us the real measure isn't how we compare to one another. It's how honest we are before God. And honesty is freeing. Now, I said in the last month's homily, humility doesn't mean putting yourself down. It means seeing yourself truthfully. The Christian author C.S. Lewis once said, humility isn't thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. The Pharisee wanted to be admired, but the tax collector just wanted to be forgiven. So what are we going to take home today from Mass and the Gospel and the Word? Like Paul, each of us is in the middle of a race. Some days we're really strong, other days we're just crawling along, wondering if we're ever going to make it. But the finish line isn't perfection, it's faithfulness. And the real victory isn't boasting in what we've done, it's in trusting in what God can do, for us. Like the tax collector, we can carry a simple prayer in our hearts. God, be merciful to me, a sinner. Now, that little prayer works in the pew, in the car when you're driving, at bedtime, or in any other quiet moments of doubt you have. It's a prayer of honesty. It's a prayer that keeps us moving towards God's finish line. And when our own race is over, whether we sprint across or wobble to the finish line, let's echo Paul's words with humble joy. I have kept the faith. So, come on. Let's stop trying to impress God with our highlight reels and instead give him the one thing he's looking for, a humble, honest heart. Because in the end, that's the prayer that gets us home. God, be merciful to me, a sinner. Amen.